Hello and thank you for joining us this hour. I'm Nikki and you're watching RT International. Our top story this hour, officials have confirmed 3 explosions hit a funeral ceremony in the Afghan capital, killing at least 6 people. Local media are reporting the death toll is even worse, with at least 20 killed and 87 wounded. The country's chief executive, Abdullah, says the attack was a suicide bombing. Abdullah was among top officials. Saturday's blasts happened at the funeral for a man who died at a deadly rally just the day before. At least 8 protesters were reportedly killed there, with several more wounded after police opened fire. Tempers had flared against the government over security after an attack on Wednesday killed at least 90 people and injured hundreds more. Several experts told us what happened throughout this week is diminishing the current US-backed Afghan government.
Whatever is happening behind the scene to cause these kinds of...
A number of new polls in the UK are showing a large drop in support for Prime Minister Theresa May, just days before the country votes in a general election. And while confidence in polls isn't especially high these days, RT's Polly Boyko looks at what could happen if they turned out to be right.
It had all started so well for the British Prime Minister. When she called the snap election in April, Theresa May was hoping
it means Brexit. The Labour Party is pushing for close relations with the EU, while the Scottish National Party wants a special status for Scotland after Brexit. Meanwhile, almost 10,000 people have joined a Scottish independence rally in the city of Glasgow, as RT's Issa Ali reports.
Police predicted around 6,000 people, but organisers have told Brendan.
The US-led coalition has issued a report about civilians killed in airstrikes since 2014. However, the figures provided are much lower than those reported by activists. The report says at least 484 civilians have been killed in Syria and Iraq, over 100 civilians. The Pentagon shifted the blame for the deaths onto ISIL. The US Secretary of Defense says more casualties are inevitable.
Civilian casualties are a fact of life.
ISIL in Syria and Iraq, the fighting is now pushing the terrorists into other regions, as RT's Caleb Morpin explains.
In America's war on...
Take you over to Paris now for some of the latest pictures from the French capital, where firecrackers have been set off at a rally. Hundreds have gathered to pay tribute to a young anti-fascist. Well, it's the 3rd and final day of the International Economic Forum in St. Petersburg. RT's Ilya Petrenko sums up the key outcomes so far.
It is time to pack the bags, uninstall the promotional corners. The St. Petersburg Economic Forum
in Iraq. The deal is estimated to be worth over $1 billion and covers a 20... Well, following the attack, President Duterte vowed to crack down on terrorism. The Philippines are currently in the grip of radical violence. Parts of the country have now become full-blown war zones, with Marawi a key hotspot. Fierce fighting between government forces and MEPs misspent almost €40 million allocated each year for their national offices. That's the claim of a report presented by a group of investigative journalists. They reveal some of the politicians paid to rent homes they already own or claim so-called ghost offices that they don't actually use. Lee Camp takes a light-hearted look at the news in Redacted tonight. That's next on RT.